Hi guys, in this video I'm going to explain you how the adjustment layers work, okay? So far we've worked with layer masks and clipping masks, but the adjustment layers, as the name says, is used to adjust our image, like adjusting the light, adjusting the color, adjusting the contrast, or give it a special effect, okay? So let me explain you first how these adjustment layers work. You can find the icon next to the layer mask, okay? I opened my image directly in Photoshop. I placed a second one because I'm going to show you how to do something with that. And you can see the icon there. You have all these adjustments to work with. You can add a solid color, gradient to adjust the vibrance of our image, to invert the colors, a gradient map, etc. So this is just a matter of experimenting with the adjustments, okay? As designers, we don't have some specific adjustments and levels to correctly enhance a picture, but we do have a lot of experimenting, okay? A lot of experimentation. So it's up to us to be curious and to click on these adjustments and to identify what do they do, okay? So, for example, the solid color layer, so far, if you remember, when we want to create another a layer with a specific color, we add in a layer, we grab our paint bucket, and then we fill out that layer. But if I just simply click on the solid color layer, Photoshop does the work for me. It automatically fills the entire space with a hue of my like, okay? Hue is just another, it's a synonym of color, okay? So I can pick any color of my like. But also, if I don't like the color, instead of going to the paint bucket and choosing it again, I can double click on the adjustment layer and change the hue again. The other thing you notice is that next to the adjustment layer, a layer mask is automatically added. Why? Because sometimes we don't want to add that color or that adjustment to the entire image, to just one part of our image. We already know how the masks work. If my layer here is white, then if I put black instead with a brush or a selection tool, whatever, I can reveal those pixels again, right? I can hide, sorry, in this case, I'm going to hide the part of the adjustment layer so I can reveal what's underneath, okay? And if I take any selection tool, they work exactly the same. With my paint bucket, I fill them with black so I can hide the effect and reveal what's underneath, okay? And then we have, for example, the gradient adjustment layer, which does exactly the same, but instead of adding one solid color, if I click here, I can choose or edit the gradient. You have a lot of gradients in here to choose from, okay? A lot of gradients, but let me explain you how they work. You have these little things which are called color stops, and each color stop has another color stop that's on top of them. The one in the bottom is used to change the hue or the color, and the one in the top is used to change the opacity of that color stop. So I can have a gradient that starts with a color with, for example, 100%, yes, of opacity, but the second color can end at 0% opacity. So the blending or the gradient goes from 100 to 0, and the blending is more like natural, okay? Maybe in this case, we were asked to design like a flyer for a company, a vacation company, and we don't want to completely hide the image, and sometimes just putting the text here looks weird. So if we add a gradient layer, we can quickly fix that by adding like space here, okay? Adding a space here that will allow me to write the information without completely hiding or having a weird line, straight line in there, okay? Like a hard line. The other thing you can do is you can add as many color stops of your like to create your own gradients, okay? So yes, you can give this a complete effect. What if, for example, I choose that one? Let me click OK. Here I have some options, okay? I can change the type of gradient. I can also change, for example, if I choose linear, the angle of the gradient. I can reverse the gradient. And also I can lower the opacity. So maybe this is a cool gradient effect to your photos. And again, for example, if I want the effect or the gradient to be applied to everything except for the couple here, I can use my quick selection tool or any other tool that I know to select the objects that I want to keep, okay? But in the mask, I am going to fill them out with black. So only this layer will affect like the sea here, the water, the ocean, except for the couple. So the adjustment layers can also be combined with the layer masks to add special effects, okay? And remember as well that it is a good practice that when you use a selection tool, you still continue applying the refinement options so your edges and all of your selection is perfectly done, okay? The smooth, the feather, etc. You still need to continue adding those things so your selection is good, okay? Let's move on to the other adjustment layers. We have some brightness and contrast. I chose this image because I think the water looks dull and the sky is just white. So as you can see, I already have another image here that I'm going to use to change the sky with. So for example, if I want the water to be more vibrant, I can choose vibrance, increase the levels of vibrance so my sea looks, or the ocean, the water looks better. I can add another one, for example, the levels. The levels tell me how much white and how much black does my image has. So as you can see, these points in here are more inclined to the white because I have a lot of light in my image. So if I decrease this one or I increase the black, I can increase the levels of black, white, and the midtones. The midtones are the grays, okay? And as you can see, I can combine or add as many layers as I want. If I click in hue saturation, this one changes the color. Remember, hue is a synonym of color. So I can increase the color of the sea, of the water, so it looks so much better, okay? But again, I don't want these images to affect them. Then I would have to add a layer mask to each one of them, okay? So I can, so I avoid edit them. But we can do that very simple. Pretend I'm doing the selection really good and something like that. And then I apply the refine options, right? And with black, I am going to click in here. With the same selection active, I can click on the other layers and fill them, okay? So only the water is affected except for them, okay? Now, we have here more adjustment layers, but I invite you to click on them and experiment what do they do, okay? We have, for example, the gradient map, which is a gradient, but if you put, for example, my recommendation is to have the darker colors on your left and your light colors on your right to give them some special effects, okay? I really like this one for cool effects on my photos. So this time, I want my image here, I want to replace the sky. So I'm going to move this image, hold on, this one, I'm going to move it a little bit like there. Now, I have here the this image, And I'm going to add a layer mask because I want to hide this part of the image. Okay? I want to hide that part of the image, and I'm going to appear this one at the bottom because my intention is to use the sky here of this image or this photo with the water, okay? So I'm going to click in the layer mask. I can use the brush, a soft round brush, to start hiding this line. Okay, let me lower the opacity so I can combine both images and they look a little bit more natural. So I can add a pretty sky and a cool like color for the water. Okay, I can even move this a little bit. I think they look good there. So as you can see, these adjustment layers are also modifying my sky, and I don't want that. And we know we have another mask that can help us with that, and it's the clipping mask. So I can do clipping mask in my adjustment layers so they only manipulate the normal layer, the first normal layer that is below them, okay? So this way I can apply adjustments to only this layer without affecting the one in the background. But also, as you may notice, now the color of the sky and the color of the water don't match, right? So I can go to, for example, the hue and saturation layer to adjust, okay, the hue here of the water to decrease or increase the saturation so they kind of make sense. So remember, the adjustment layers are about practice, okay? I don't have, or we as designers don't have specific values to make things work. We just have our knowledge, which is the use of layer masks, clipping masks, the adjustment layers, and it's all about experimenting and making things look right, okay?